'cause now there's one less star in the city. Now there's one less star in the city. Now there's one less star in the city. I saw a shooting star last night and thought of you, but I woke up from a dream and you're not here. We fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what will come of us, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. Ooh. 'Cause now there's one less star in the city. We fell in love, we had our fun. You always had enough dreams for both of us. I wonder what would come of us if we could trade these ends for beginnings. I'm drinking from an empty cup. The hardest part of young love was growing up. It's not enough to fill me up, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. I can't keep living without you, but I'll wait, and someday I'll join you in the stars. But for now, I can't keep thinking about you, 'cause I can't find my way, 'cause now there's one less star in the city. I can't keep living without you, but I'll wait, and someday I'll join you in the stars. But for now, I can't keep thinking about you, 'cause I can't find my way, 'cause now there's one less star in the city.
I've got something for you, and I can hardly breathe. Something draws me to you, it's taking over me. Don't know where you came from, but you're cutting deep. When the music's over, will you come with me? Tell me you can feel it, though we're oceans apart. I've got love for you, I've got love for you, and I know this magic sparks inside who we are. I've got love for you. this town with the speakers loud and the radio, playing old Sublime that we stole online, every verse we know. And we hadn't had a clue if we'd make it by noon or even where we'd go. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere. The tank said E and we all agree that we're just too broke to fill it back up, so we left your truck on the road with Rome. Then we found a motel with a cigarette smell, so we knew we're close. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. Is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 We played Tupac Sharak and we turn our music up when he raps about hope. We hold our thumbs high and hope someone is kind enough to give us all a ride. And we wouldn't have a clue if we'd make it back to or even where we'd go. But we don't need a map, everywhere is home. A Ford stopped on the street, said where you trying to be. We said we don't really care, we'll know it when we're there. We took on down the road, he flipped on his radio. Santeria started slow, so we knew that we were close. Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 Home is where I can find some peace of mind and make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road.
You say you need a hero, someone to set you free. You say you need a hero, but don't put your faith in me. Don't put your faith in me. No. We all get lost sometimes, we all fall sometimes. The darkness in our hearts makes us shine like little stars. We are heroes. We are heroes. Heroes. We are heroes. We are heroes. Walking through dark lands, searching for a strong hand. Take the reins and don't let go, but don't put your faith in me, 'cause I'm no hero. least not tonight. 'Cause we all get scared sometimes, we all fall sometimes. The darkness in our hearts makes us shine like little stars. We all get lost sometimes, we all fall sometimes. The darkness in our hearts makes us shine like little stars. We are heroes. We are heroes. Heroes. We are heroes. We are heroes. We are heroes. Say you hate the darkness, 'cause it's a lonely place. We don't need the darkness, 'cause that's what makes us heroes. Makes us heroes every day. We are heroes. Heroes. We are heroes.
I live 17 floors up, and when it rains, I can feel those drops in my window pane. Lets me know that I'm still here. But when the sun comes out, I will go outside. When it breaks through clouds, I will give a smile. Lets me know that I'm still here. Sometimes I want to run away, run away, to find good times again, to find all my old friends.
Times I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and good times. I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and
up, and when I cry, I can see the city through my watered eyes. Lets me know that I'm still here. When my eyes clear up, I will go outside. I'll imagine you're still by my side. Lets me know that I'm still here.
Sometimes I want to run away, run away, to find good times again, to find all my old friends. Run away, to the nearest place where I'll find all my old friends.
times I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and good times. I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and good times. I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again, and
day. I don't think you're there, but it's 2 a.m. I'm awoke and scared. I'm alone tonight. Yeah, I'm alone tonight. Do you still sleep with that old brown bear that I won for you at our first state fair? I'm alone tonight. Yeah, I'm alone tonight. I know some days we all cry, we break down, yeah, we lose our minds. Let it go sometimes, got to let it go sometimes. I know some days we all cry, we break down, yeah, we lose our minds. Let it go sometimes, got to let it go sometimes. I know some days we all cry, break down, yeah, we lose our minds. I know some days we all cry, but let's trust life. Let's just trust life. I know it's fake that we traveled up and down everywhere, but I'm alone tonight. Yeah, I'm alone tonight. Do you still drive that old Accord that broke down on us and was uninsured? I'm alone tonight. Yeah, I'm alone tonight. I know some days we all cry, we break down, yeah, we lose our minds. Let it go sometimes, got to let it go sometimes. I know some days we all cry, we break down, yeah, we lose our minds. Let it go sometimes, got to let it go sometimes. I know some days we all cry, we break down, yeah, we lose our minds. I know some days we all cry, but let's trust life. Let's just trust life. In time it all works out. It's nothing to cry about. We always have our doubts, but let's trust life. Let's just trust life. I know some days we all cry, but let's trust life. Let's just trust life. In time it all works out. It's nothing to cry about. We always have our doubts, but let's trust life. Let's just trust life.
A real clockwork soldier.
You take me higher than love. You're making me feel some kind of way. And now we see
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa, and well, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. I'm glad to be here. Yesterday we had our first episode of Generation Orange of 2019. That was fun. You know, be sure to check it out on the channel. It was some really good discussion about the Houston Dynamo. We talked a little bit about RGVFC, of course, with Sean Ringrose, talking about a couple of the latest news that have come up for RGVFC. But before we get started, I really want to take the time and thank you all for joining us. Be sure to follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Down in the RGV, as well as on Instagram, and as well as in Facebook, facebook.com/downintheRGV. Be sure to also check out all of our podcasts whenever. Okay. That's not good. Okay, hold on. Give me a minute while I switch cameras. I think my camera is dying, so be a little patient with me, guys. Thank you so much.
I wake up early, I sleep alone. I try to find love from a stranger on my phone. My vision blurry, so I forget. Dying to hold you, but you left me here for dead. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. Don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. Messing with monsters up in my head. I told myself lying beside her in my bed. Paint over pictures you left behind. I'd punch the walls if it would make you change your mind. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. And I don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. Don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. How could I do what I've done if I'm in love? You know I did what I did, you loaded the gun. And I don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. Yeah, didn't mean to do it every day. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. I do it anyway. Don't wanna think about you anyway. I do it anyway. I do it anyway.
All right, guys. Well, Welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa, and I am your host for this podcast called Down in the Valley, brought to you by none other than our friends from the Beautiful Game Network. Be sure to check them out on Facebook and on Twitter. On Twitter, they are at the BGNFM. Be sure to check out their website at www.bgn.fm. Also, be sure to check out the BGN sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves. They're the official scarf supplier of USL, MLS, and NCAA. As far as ourselves, be sure to follow us on all our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're at Down in the RGV. Be sure to also check out all of our podcasting platforms. The podcast versions are on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. So be sure to choose your favorite podcasting platform. Follow us on there. And be sure to listen and share all of our podcasts. We would really greatly appreciate it. This week, I believe it's going to be a short episode. There's really not much to talk about. We will be having Rey Silva coming in a little bit later. But pretty much what we're going to be talking about today, there's been some breaking news regarding Wilmer Cabrera Jr., that we'll be discussing, as well as we'll be talking about the match against UTRGV that happened this past Sunday. What Rey saw, because Rey was at the match. We'll be talking about what he saw from the match. I know we can't really talk a lot about trialists because of. See, here's one thing that you guys really need to understand when it comes to preseason is that unless, for starters, the teams are not going to be giving out starting XI information, whether it's in social media or to the press. This isn't because, contrary to what I thought last year, this isn't because it's any kind of laziness on the organization's part in regards to RGVFC media. It's more along the lines of this is a USL mandated thing. So, for example, they cannot give out any information, any names, nothing of any trialists that are playing. For example, against UTRGV, they cannot give out the name of the trialist in public. And hey, how you doing, Harry? Well, Jake, here's another good news about it. So Jacob right now is actually he actually won't be joining us today. He's actually starting his new job today, and which is really awesome for him because he'll be starting working with journalism. And so, since that's the career he wants to go to, he got a job at the local paper, and we're very ecstatic for him in that regard. But back to what I was saying is that the USL does not allow for the teams to give out information, any names in regards to any trialists that are out there. Which is why starting exercise are usually not displayed or shown or anything. And Ray, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Real good, real good. How about yourself? Yeah, just pretty much talking to our audience right now about this whole ordeal with trialists in preseason. And I know there's probably a lot of people. I know a lot of people asked you on Sunday that information, why that wasn't released out to the public.
Yeah, it's a general procedure that the USL has, that if you are on trial, then basically your information cannot be given up just due to liability purposes. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the main reason behind it. And especially if you're like a two team like the Toros, then it complicates things a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even some of the the UTRGV team that they played, they had a couple of players that weren't officially listed on the roster. So those are guys that haven't been announced by the university itself. So that kind of complicated things a little bit for me.
Yeah.
During Sunday. So I did know that the starting keeper for UTRGV was a freshman. So let's take that in. Let's grasp that one in there for a second. A freshman literally stood on his head and held a pro team to a 1-1 draw. I mean, the guy made some key saves during key moments to pretty much keep that match at 1-1.
What did you see? What did you see out of that match? I know you were there present at the game on Sunday, but what did you see out of the Toros? Were you satisfied, or you think that they were kind of lax?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say and give an inconclusive grade. And here's the reason why for an inconclusive grade. When you have more trialists than people assigned to your official roster, it kind of gauges, waters down the grade and the performance from what I would have liked to have seen. Now, compared to last season, okay, there was a significant upgrade. There was a little bit more up-tempo in the first 2 30-minute sessions that I was able to see. There was a bit more of everything. Once the trialists came in for the second 30 minutes and the last the last 15 minutes of the second 30 and the last 30 minutes, that's when we started to see all the trialists combined with like 1 or 2 of the regular starters to be played more frequently. So overall, there was a lot of good things that you could have taken out from those trialist players with some of those veteran or returning players from that point.
Okay, yeah, I understand your point, and I think that is something that unless you were there at the match, just first impressions when you hear a score out of saying, oh, well, a pro team drew against a college team, you start getting a lot of questions in your head. And
okay, and let me just say something about that, about UTRGV. This was a UTRGV that last season, during their season of competition, were picked to finish 7th, which would have meant for them missing out on the conference tournament. And their head coach, Paul Lees, pretty much said, the hell with preseason ranking. Let's go make some of our noise of our own. And sure enough, they had 2 of the most lethal forwards of the Western Conference with Robbie DeLuzma and William Akio, and they also had another missing forward by the name of Kyle Edwards. Between those 3 guys, they may have potted close to like 25 goals, close to 30 goals for the season. So to say the least, I was actually quite surprised at that result, because UTRGV did have their share of opportunities to have stolen that game from the Toros.
So I'm looking at the stats here Ruby DeLuzma, and current stats is showing me that he played 14 games in 2018 with a .29 goal average. In total, he scored. Where are you? 4 goals. So he scored 4 goals in 14 games. And who else did you mention?
William Ochoa and Kyle Edwards. Kyle Edwards was one of those names that surprised me that he didn't make that game.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was given to me. It just came as a surprise because when I talked to Coach Echeverry post game, and even leading up to the game, he goes, you know what? I think some of these guys in that roster can probably put a pretty good impression with the Dynamo.
Yeah.
And I'm not anyone to say that they did or didn't, but even when I would see those guys on a regular basis during the fall-winter schedule, they pretty much caught my attention with the way they played.
Take a look at his stats. In 2018, Kyle Edwards, who you mentioned did not play this match. In 2018, he played 20 matches. He scored 14 goals.
So that's 18 between DeLuzma and Edwards.
Yes, and then I checked also Akio, and he scored 5.
Well, that's 23. That was a little bit off on my math, but I mean, still, 23 goals between those 3 players in a shortened college schedule. I mean, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I mean, considering the circumstances in which the game was played, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first 30 minutes. It was a little bit of a stalemate, but then once the last 2 30-minute periods happened, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I came for.
Which I understand why, because a lot of people think, oh, well, it's pro, they have to be automatically better than college, but you have to take into consideration that at least with the RGV system, you've been around, Ray, you've been around college sports a whole lot longer than I have. Do you believe that this reasoning is correct?
I'm going to go ahead and say yes and no. Yes, there's a little bit of the difference because let's just say that the college and the pro, at least here in the United States, they don't share the same calendar.
Mm-hmm.
While the pros are pretty much resting, like in the winter, the college season is barely wrapping up. So then that pretty much gives like the pro team like already to start thinking forward for their campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the little differences that I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that into consideration. And then one of the other differences between the pro and college level is the college, you're just limited to what you can do during the off season. Like, yes, you can have these preparational games and whatnot, and you're only limited to like a handful. As is with the Toros, you're already preparing for what's going to be a very, very long summer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once the summer break comes in for the college thing, a lot of these players go out and play for amateur contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically playing for free in order to have that level of continuity of having that game day shape and whatnot.
See, I remember that would happen a lot with the Grandes back when we had them a couple years ago. most of their lineup was mostly players from UTB and UTRGV that were playing, like you say, on an amateur contract. Because go ahead.
Because I mean, there really isn't anything that the college cannot do. I mean, unless one of the assistant coaches becomes like an assistant coach to one of these amateur sides, then that's the only other way that they're able to have some sort of contact with the university. Well, not with the university, but with their coaches to try to get that game shape to keep that game shape alive and well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm getting a comment from my friend Omar. He says he was surprised the Toros didn't beat UTRGV. Now, historically, I think not counting last season, because last season I think the Toros did beat the Vaqueros. It consistently, like, UTRGV always put up a challenge to the Toros. There's been, I believe there was the year before in 2017 they drew the Vaqueros as well. So this isn't something that comes as a surprise.
It does come to a surprise as many because a lot of the collegiate players want to show the coaches that, hey, we're also deserving of an opportunity to play for you, or at least take us into consideration. Mm-hmm. You need us, and that's why a lot of these collegiate players rise up to the occasion and try to play as hard as they can and as fast as they can to keep up with the levels of these pro athletes.
Yeah.
So that's why you kind of see a little bit of a challenge from the collegiate athletes.
Yeah, and I think we see it because, you know, I think they're just trying, like you say, they're trying to pave the way for especially, I would assume, the seniors who are pretty much on their last year of collegiate, and maybe they want to draw the eyes of Coach Echeverry or whoever's scouting, or any scouts that are out there, you know, to give them an opportunity next season when they try out or something, and they don't make it, like, let's say they don't make it to the draft, you know, allow them to try out via the winter tryouts, and hopefully earn a spot in a professional team if they do decide they want to become make soccer their career and become pros.
Yes.
So, if I recall correctly, you mentioned at the match that RGV's goal was scored by a trialist.
Correct.
How did that? Can you describe? Do you remember how that play occurred?
Okay, there. So apparently UTRGV was trying to. They were trying to move the ball forward. You know, they tried to play it out a little too quickly instead of, like, taking their time and trying to find an open man, or instead of changing, let's just say changing the side of the play, because everything was trying to be built up from the left. And then when they tried to switch on the right, the Toros sensed a little bit of lackness, of lack of speed from UTRGV, so they pretty much pressured the ball, and they found a beautiful one-touch combination, and they scored pretty much like that.
See, that sounds good. You know, being able to capitalize on the opponent's mistakes, and I feel like the that's where not UTRGV, but I feel that's where the Toros, I think, will prosper. Will be in the pressure high up on the field, and the quickness of transition between defense and attack, and that counter, in order to surprise the opponent. So I think we might see that might be the tactic for this season because of the talent that we have. You know, we have the strength and the speed of Carlos Esmal. We have the quickness and the agility of Chuy Enriquez. We have pretty much the experience of Malik Foster. So that I feel like that's going to be what's going to happen going forward with this team. Hopefully we can. I think we've seen that as far as defensive wise. I think we might see more of the same with being as consistent as possible. Hopefully this. I think better benchmarks would be when we play against other USL teams, whether it's the Bold in 2 weeks or San Antonio, where we might get an idea whether we shook off and left behind that shakiness in the last 10 minutes of the match, where we would lose a lot of points that way. So, Ray, yeah, go ahead.
AKA the tragedia, the last 10 minutes.
A ver si no pasa una tragedia. So Ray, Omar asked me, he says, if I'm not mistaken, UTRGV was ranked in the top 25 through 30 teams nationally. Could you verify their rank if possible?
No. You see, they may have been ranked as far as win totals, but overall, like AP ranking, coaches ranking, that is false. Now, if he switches over to other sports such as cross country, then okay, he might have some arguments there. But as far as the soccer, no, they were up there as far as win totals across the NCAA with 14.
Yeah.
But as far as like national ranking, no.
What are they classified at? D2 or D3?
D1.
Oh, they're D1.
Yeah, they're a Division I school.
Oh, nice. I did not know that, and I'm an alumni of there. Oh, well.
Oh,
yeah, but I know. No. Let's not talk about that. So, I don't know, do you have anything else you want to talk about from that match? I think my biggest question would be, from the players that we have already been confirmed that have been signed for 2019, which one struck you the most, or which one caught your eye the most?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say there's a couple of names that struck me the most. Romelio Hernandez and Camilo Monroy.
Okay.
Those two guys struck me the most because, A, those guys haven't had like a full competitive match since who knows when. Yes, Monroy had a brief 10-minute showing, and Romelio, yes, he would get his spots. He would get his spot minutes in, but now that they were able to play a little bit more extended time, it seems like Romelio started to find a little bit of his form during that game, and of course, you just cannot teach the speed of Monroy.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot teach it. You just kind of hope that the guy can kind of like control it, type of thing.
You think like his lack of experience is kind of like
Actually, it's more of the lack of rhythm. Actually,
okay.
It's more of the lack of rhythm, only because he's had such a long layoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm singling them two out, and I'm not trying to be negative about it, but it's just that thing that, okay, when you've had such a long layoff, you kind of have to like zero in on those two to see what they're all about.
Yeah. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised that they're kind of stepping up in that regard. So Romelio was placed as a defensive midfielder, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, he played a little bit of everything throughout the whole 30-minute stanzas. I mean, there was a time where he was subbed off, and then he would come back in and like close out the match.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of look for him to be kind of like that defensive midfield destroyer, kind of like that player that's going to recover a ball and perhaps start an attack or two.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I kind of see in Romilio.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got Camilo Monroy, who I really like. He's a guy full of energy, can get down the field, very pacey. It's just that it's not that you can be reckless because it's more of a defensive term.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess use it in an offensive term where you are reckless and don't know how to use your speed to your advantage.
You're not or you don't have the intelligence to know when to use your speed.
You gotta have that. You gotta have that IQ.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know that. You gotta have that IQ in order to break and know how to snap a defender's ankles or even waist to break away and to potentially have more of a creative upside to it.
Yeah. So I think my biggest, and I mentioned it on the first episode of 2019 for Down in the Valley, but I think my biggest question now, and I think I said it 2 weeks ago, especially when we got confirmed that Todd Warden was going to be leaving for Portland Timbers 2.
Quit cutting onions.
I already got to replace Todd Warden on my graphics, but no. My biggest question would be the defensive midfielder, the midfielders. What the pairing is going to be for this season, and if they're going to be able to gel together. Who was paired up with Romilio in this match?
Well, like I said, this match may have featured more trialists than the ones from last season. To be real honest, that's the one thing that really just scares me about this year's team is that there's a handful of players that we knew from last season,
mm-hmm.
and that didn't go to Dynamo training camp as to compared to this season where. Yeah, they gave us a handful of players, but then they took 3 or 4, left us only with 6.
Yeah.
6 to 7 of them, and then it was a load of trialists.
So, if I recall correctly, we are without, I believe, 3 players, correct? We have Nico Cordy, Kyle Adams, and Malik Foster are with the Dynamo right now in Tucson, Arizona for the Mobile Mini Sun Cup, which, by the way, the Dynamo lost 4-1 in their last preseason match against Sporting Kansas City, and the Dynamo had another red card, but that's for another thing. I believe, I believe that Malik Foster played with... so basically what happened in today's match, you had 2 matches going on at the same time. The starters played in the match that was streamed, and there was another match that going on at the same time. It was pretty much a bench and reserves. And I believe Malik Foster was playing in that other match, and those players, the bench and the reserves, they tied 1-1 against Sporting Kansas City, and I believe I would have to confirm, but I believe Malik Foster saw some activity there.
Okay, that's fair enough. And another player that I have either yet to see in Dynamo, or either with the Dynamo or with the Toros, is one young buck, Bryce Marion.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I don't know what could be going on. I just hope we have him by opening day in our roster.
I don't know, man. I mean,
I've heard things that he's up there in Houston,
mm-hmm.
not with the group, but just in the in the Dynamo Academy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that story, but I've yet to confirm with anyone about that.
I don't know, man, because I mean, we there's so many other players that we have heard nothing about, whether they're coming back or whether they're not coming back or whether they're signed with somebody else, and that includes our homegrown Omar Ontiveros. All I know, based on social media, is that he is currently in California, but no sign of whether he signed with somebody else or what's going on. You mentioned as well Bryce Marion, you know, so there's a lot of incognito when it comes to this. All we know for sure is the list that Coach Echeverri gave us on our first episode, as confirmed that they will be coming back for the 2019 season. Of course, there's still a lot of preseason to go, and we could see a signing coming in the next couple of weeks in theory. That includes either trialists that are currently on there or somebody that they might bring in from the league or from somebody from out there. But that depends a lot on what the Houston Dynamo decides they need for 2019, because I do know that they really want to make a priority, the organization, and to be competitive in the USL Championship. And from what Coach has told us when we've had him on interviews, he wants this team to fight for the championship, to fight for the cup. And it just all depends on what the whether the Houston Dynamo sees things the same way as Coach Echeverri does. So there's still that whole big question if there's anybody else that's going to be coming in that is not a trialist right now. Stud Muffin asks, what about the Dynamo draft picks? Are they in RGV? As far as I know, they are not. They are at they are with the Dynamo at the Mobile Mini Sun Cup. They're currently with the Dynamo right now. We may see them come back and play with the Toros once the season begins. They're still those players are still being evaluated by the Dynamo coaching staff to see whether they will be staying as a reserve for the Houston Dynamo or they will be sent down to earn some minutes with RGVFC. Like I said, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I think we really have to be patient about this. Omar says, as of December 9th, 2018, according to NCAA Soccer RPI, UTRGV was ranked 43L. Going back to that topic, maybe Toros can benefit from some of these UTRGV players once they graduate, and I think that's what Rey was kind of leading on when he was telling them about that these players are kind of stepping up from UTRGV when they play against the Toros because they want to be seen by the coaching staff.
And yes, going back to that RPI ranking, yes, that RPI ranking means like if you go out on a road, play a tough opponent, you kind of get like a certain percentage point, and of course, if you beat a ranked opponent at home, that percentage point is like whatever you earn on the road plus 20% of that percentage point more is added to your RPI total, and that's where UTRGV ended up like in the upper 40s, and yet missed out on an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. They were like one of the last 4 schools out that could have had a nice win total. They beat some of the schools that actually made the tournament, but I guess selection committee wasn't very kind to them as far as making the tournament is concerned. So I thank Omar for those questions, even though I'm not with the university officially. I could confirm that information. Yes, RPI was in the upper 40s, but that's just the way the luck of the draw is. I mean, if you're not scheduling to play your Dukes, your Wake Forest, your Stanfords, your SMUs, and actually beating them, then of course a selection committee is not gonna look at you. But UTRGV did a fine job scheduling how they did it, and they could have just stolen the game when they played the Air Force, which was ranked 8th in the nation, which is in the Western Athletic Conference. Then they would have been. Then the selection committee could have turned their heads all the way down south.
Yeah.
But moving on to more Toros conversation. You were stating earlier about those draft picks. Yes, we might see them here pretty soon. We might see them as soon as next week. I mean, who knows? I mean, I know that the Dynamo have their Champions League match on the road in Guastatoya,
Yes.
Guatemala.
So today was the last match of the Mobile Mini Sun Cup for the Houston Dynamo. They will be traveling back during this week back to Houston, and just to prepare for their trip over to Guatemala for next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, they will be playing CONCACAF Champions League in Guatemala. What this means is that once the coaching staff makes their decision with these draft picks, they will go and tell them whether they're going to be staying in Houston or they'll be going down to RGV, which means that, like you say, these guys may be available, whether it's Sam Junqua or Brad Dunwell. They might be available to play against Houston Baptist University this weekend.
Well, I'm going to give you a little heads up. You posted something earlier on social media, something about CONCACAF, media relations and whatnot. Here's a big tip. Once you get your approval, a lot of the teams will have already submitted CONCACAF rosters. Now those rosters can probably include 35 players, and pretty much we'll have to trim the fat of those rosters probably by now. So I highly encourage you to log on to your CONCACAF portal and go under the CONCACAF Champions League and take a look for and try to find the rosters, because that's the way I was able to garner my rosters when I worked the CONCACAF Women's Tournament down here at HEB Park last year. So that's my public tip for you, young man.
Thank you, Master. Really appreciate that advice. Yeah, I'm really nervous to find out to see if I get accepted.
Give you an idea as to what the Dynamo might do, even though the Dynamo might put like a public statement as to, okay, this is our traveling roster with us.
Yes.
You can pretty much scratch out some of the names that may not see a minute in that competition, only because they're trying to get ready for their MLS season. So I would expect a heavy laden Dynamo roster, at least a lot of the first teamers.
Yeah.
To be on the official roster, not the preliminary, but the official roster.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel so. We have Junqua and because we have Andrew Samuels, who is a defender. Sometimes I hate how websites load up. So the Houston Dynamo has Andrew Samuels, who was chosen in the second round. He is a defender. And then the Dynamo also grabbed two other players, Sam Junqua, who played left back for the University of California, Berkeley, and then Andrew Samuels is right back, just to add on to that. And Brad Dunwell was selected in round 3 of the MLS Super Draft. He is a midfielder. So I assume from what I've been told that Brad Dunwell is another holding midfielder.
Okay.
So go ahead.
That might be your answer to your question you had with Romelio. I mean, Dunwell might be that incognito answer that we may be looking for. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. My biggest concern, like we mentioned last week or last episode, was who'd be the captain. So based on this, I have a feeling that it's going to be Connor Donovan, who whenever he is with the Toros, he will be the captain for the team. I mean, he's got a lot of experience with MLS and USL. So I think he's going to be the perfect fit as the new captain for RGVFC for 2019.
My money is on Kyle Adams still.
So you're going all in for Kyle Adams?
I never said I was going all in, but I'll just play with some house money and go with Kyle Adams.
Okay.
Here's why. And here's my theory why.
Okay.
In theory, let's say that Kiki Struna ends up picking up more unnecessary red cards than ever before. You would have to assume that Connor Donovan might be the first guy to get called up.
Mm-hmm.
Thus leaving Kyle Adams as your lone true center back veteran to lead the back line. Now, my other candidate would probably be Corti as well.
See, that makes sense. And knowing Kiki Struna's history with red cards, that might be a possibility, and that's what worries me. I really hope that he gets his stuff under control, because if he continues that way and he continues to get suspended, we might see more Connor Donovan being called up, just like last year. Or being given another MLS contract, maybe at least maybe a temporary one for now. I mean, what else? So another piece of news that came out during the week, and I think it came out on Sunday, if not Monday. So it was announced by Butler University that Wilmer Andres Cabrera, Coach Wilmer Cabrera's son, has officially, what's the term that's used in college? Committed. He officially committed to Butler University for the next upcoming season. What are your thoughts on that, Ray?
Well, Butler University is one of those prolific Division I programs. I know they recently played with Indy 11. Just recently, and they lost 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So a really solid program that that produces a lot of pro talent, whether it's the USL or MLS. So I think it was a wise choice for him to join Butler University.
But because I've seen, the reason I ask this is because I've seen a lot of comments from people who saw this news, people from the Dynamo, and I know it was brought up yesterday, was, do you think that is a backstep? Because you, Wilmer Andres Cabrera, you're already a professional. You're already playing for a professional team. Then all of a sudden you want to go back and play back at the collegiate level. Do you think that that's a step back for him? Or do you think this is more along the lines of preparing himself for his future with a career?
I see it as a little bit of everything here, because let's just say that there's like quite a few upperclassmen ahead of him, and let's just say that the learning curve that he may have had down here at the pro ranks as an amateur contract, he could put that all into play now. in case like there's that one little sense of him that, okay, maybe if soccer isn't my career, then we can probably get my education for like the next 4 years and move on to something else that isn't soccer related. I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, you just got to take care of your amateur status, period.
Yes.
And it's like Coach Gerson would told us from the first interview about that the collegiate from the collegiate to the pro ranks. I think there's that big leap of growth to do.
Yeah.
In college, once your season is over, you don't touch a ball till like February. So you're not doing anything in December. You're not doing anything in January until probably mid-February, when you are limited as to what you can and cannot do. And then once your spring semester is over, whether you want to continue to go to school or you decide to sign up and play a pro schedule on an amateur contract, well, then that's something way completely within the player's development and judgment to pursue.
Yes. It's an interesting decision. I mean, only he knows why he chose that. I just thought it was interesting as a discussion point to see what people thought about that decision. I know that he was one of the more known players from the academy due to his, him being the son of the Coach Cabrera and being so young and already playing at the professional level. In fact, he pretty much beat his brother, his older brother, to David Cabrera to getting minutes at the professional level. David Cabrera, I think he only played like one match or something like that. He didn't have a lot of minutes under the Toros compared to Wilmer Andres Cabrera. So I think that's just pretty much it when it comes to that. We just pretty much wish him the best of luck at Butler, and hopefully he'll come back to the Dynamo system, RGV system in the future. We'll see how that goes along with him. Other bit of news in RGVFC world, the RGVFC official Twitter announced that they're going to be having what is called Toro Fest on Saturday, February 23rd at 7:30 p.m. at HEB Park. If I'm not mistaken, that is when, hold on, let me look at the calendar right here. That is when they will be hosting the Austin Bold, correct?
Correct.
So they'll be having Toro Fest. There's not a lot of details that have been released in regards to what's going to happen at Toro Fest. Hopefully we will get more details throughout this week and to what exactly is going to happen with Toro Fest. But be sure, guys, to go out there and support the Toros. Go out there and watch them play against the new franchise of the USL, the Austin Bold, here at HEB Park. Not sure if it'll be free like against UTRGV or what's going to happen. None of that has been released. In fact, they haven't really officially announced that it'll be a game open to the public, but I'm assuming if they're going to be having Toro Fest at the same time as the game, they'll be allowing fans to go and watch the game. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can receive more details in regards to that in the next couple of days. I'll be trying to see what I can scoop out of the organization and let you all know through our social media. Another piece of news, there's the RGV Toros team store will continue to have 60% off on their their remaining gear from last season. It will be done every Tuesday and Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. If you guys have any questions, be sure to call them at the number 956-609-8341. Ray, I know you were there last time and you bought yourself you bought a flag for you bought a couple of polos and shirts which are at a really good price right now.
Yeah, let's just say I was there, and I got a flag. Yes, I even got one of those training tops, and I even got something for our photographer extraordinaire, Cesar Cortez. He requested an item, and I have it all in my possession.
Yes.
For the meantime, and there are some great deals to have out there. And now, as far as me, I'll let you know some of the stuff off the air, or hopefully we can meet within the next 48 hours, and we can discuss a lot of the stuff that's been going on. There's a lot of stuff there's been a lot of stuff going on, but right now, since Vipers is in season, and right now they're doing pretty well for themselves, I think they're not throwing all the money into the Vipers per se, but right now, since they're doing that, they're doing so well with the Vipers. I think the Toro stuff will eventually come into play. I want to say the next week.
Mm-hmm.
You will hear some news out of Toro's country.
Excuse me. I don't know why I feel like I'm getting sick.
I don't know.
So Sloth asks, he says, I'm guessing they're going to unveil a new jersey, which since they are sponsored by Adidas now. They're going to have a new kit. That's all I know.
That's all we know, that there will be a new uniform because they're clearancing out all the other ones. So if you don't have your frosted whites, if you don't have your fire orange, go get them while they last.
60% off.
I mean, I even wanted another Nike backpack, but too little too late on that note.
Yeah. So we are using Adidas. From what you could see from the training kits that the team has been using, and which means we will be having new kits. Like we mentioned, that's all the information that we know about. Pretty much just pay attention to RGVFC media and social media and our social media as well. If anything ever becomes officialized or anything, be sure to pay attention with that. I mean, we are as we only know as much as you know, which isn't much. So I mean, we can't do anything about it. So just be patient with that. And once it's been unveiled by the team, I'm sure you'll start seeing them at the Toros shop. Hopefully you'll like the new kits. We don't know how they look like at all. But I mean, I personally like Adidas, so I know I'm not going to be what's the word I'm looking for? Disappointed, but others might, you know. But it's going to be all the thing about opinions. But what we care about I don't really care about what they wear. It's how they perform at the pitch that I care mostly about.
And I'll agree there with you. Even though personally, and this is just me being me, but I really don't like Adidas. Even though a lot of places where I've worked, are now supporters of Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
Or sponsored by Adidas, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just be patient in that regard. I think we should see it before the beginning of March. I think that's when they will start using them. I don't know if they'll use them against San Antonio. Like I said, in all preseason matches, they usually just use. You know what? I take that back, because last year when they played San Antonio at San Antonio in preseason, they used the actual uniforms and not the training jerseys. So we probably might see something like that happen this year with the last preseason match for the Toros. So just like I said, just be on the lookout.
Personally, I'm not counting on it. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not counting on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm saying I'm not counting on it. Take a look at FC Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just going to stop right there.
Oh, come on. The Cincy jersey was actually pretty nice.
Okay, design-wise, okay, I'm going to give you that. I'll give you the design-wise. But if you compare them to, like, all the other ones, with the exception of Frisco, you don't know where I'm going to go on this.
Okay, so here's something that needs to be understood in regards to FC Cincinnati's jersey, and we're kind of derailing off the topic here, but it's something that I want to point out. You know, there was very little turnaround time between when FC Cincinnati was officially announced as an MLS expansion franchise and when they needed the kits. Obviously, because of that, they are not going to be getting any authentic Climate Chill kits. They will all be using Climate Cool regular replica jerseys for MLS. But that's because it usually takes about 1 to 2 years for Adidas or Nike or Under Armour to prepare its tooling to create and to design these jerseys. So that's the reason why FC Cincinnati are going to be using replica style kits even for the team. But design wise, like I said, looks really beautiful. Yes, it is pretty much a jersey and a design that you can get off the My Team Adidas website. But you know, like I said, it's still a pretty nice kit.
Well, it looks like a nice kit, but oh boy. It certainly looks better than the ones in Frisco, though.
Oh, yeah. Anything looks better than Frisco. All right, guys. So, do you guys, anybody that's listening out there, if you guys have any questions, any comments, be sure to post it out on the YouTube chat. We have a couple of minutes. We have a couple minutes to spare. You know, if you guys want to talk about anything else, I guess Champions League or whatever, we're more than welcome to talk about it. I mean, pretty much news-wise for RGVFC, we don't have much, and we pretty much just talked about it. We talked about the UTRGV match. We talked about Wilmer Cabrera leaving for Butler. We talked about the Dynamo draft picks and if they'll be coming to the RGVFC soon. We talked about Toro Fest, the clearance at the Toros team store. I think unless you have something else you want to talk about, Ray, I think that's all the RGV stuff that we can cover.
Yeah, I think that's all we have for at least this week, and a special shout out to Sean Ringrose.
Right now he's watching the Rockets, but I'll let him know you said hi.
Oh no, bless him.
Come on, they're doing all right.
Whatever.
Seems legit.
Yeah, I'm not a Rockets fan, so whatever.
Well, yeah, that is true though. So I think it was a short episode. I understand, but I think we pretty much Go ahead.
I'm just waiting on to come back on Jacob from Twitter the other day. I don't know if he's fully recovered from that.
But yeah, so I think we kind of mentioned it a little while ago, but Jacob actually got a new job, so we're pretty stoked about that he's growing as a journalist. So wherever Jacob is right now, big congratulations from all of us here at Down in the Valley. And we're pretty proud of what he's done, and we hope that he continues to grow. Hopefully he'll be able to continue being on the podcasts, but we will confirm that as the days go by, and we talk to him about that. But other than that, it was a short episode. But I think we talked everything that we needed to talk about. If you guys missed any part of this show, be sure we are going to be uploading this to SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify. So be sure to go to any of your favorite podcasting platforms and stream it through there. You can also watch the archive of the stream here on YouTube once the live stream ends. Be sure to also follow us on our social media, down in the RGV.com. We're still waiting on that. I'm still anxious about that. Sean, please hurry. Down in the RGV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also check out our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. They're the ones that make our podcast being available on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. They make it possible. Big shout out to Mike Sparks. Thank you so much for all the help that you bring us. Be sure to check them out on Twitter and on Facebook at the BGNFM. And be sure to check out their main sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves. So their official scarf supplier of USL, MLS, and NCAA. Thank you, everybody who was watching right now. Thank you, David. Thank you, Wonderful Sloth. Thank you to my dad, Javier Ochoa. Thanks, my good friend, Omar Beltran. And Stud Muffin, Harry, and everybody who watched this show tonight. Thank you all for your continuous support. And we hope to see you all next week, which will probably be will be a Thursday show. We'll back to be on Thursday because Wednesday will be a Generation Orange due to Tuesday having the Dynamo being in the CONCACAF Champions League. So next Thursday at 7 p.m. we hope to have more news. We'll be talking about any news out of the match against Houston Baptist University. We will be talking about more details, if any are released, about Toro Fest the following Saturday, the 23rd. Talking about Austin Bold. I will actually try next week to have somebody that's a follower of the Austin Bold on the show to hopefully talk to us a little bit about the team, what he's seen, what he thinks about all of their signings so far, so that way we can know a little bit more about the rival for that day. I really hope you guys enjoy that. Once everything gets finalized, I will be letting you all know through our social media, so be sure to be attentive on that. Having said this, thank you, Ray, for joining me tonight. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for everything that you do with helping me cover this team. Before we let you all go, guys, before I cut off the stream, I will be playing a little bit. We'll be playing Ramilio Hernandez's quick post-game interview from that match. If you guys want to see the others, we have Coach Echeverry and Robert Castellanos as well. They are on our YouTube channel. Be sure to search for them there. Big thanks to Ray for getting us that footage. Edson,
real quick, if you guys want the full uncut version of it, you guys, it's sorry for the self plug here, but you guys
no worries.
can go to on YouTube, just search South Texas Border Sports, and you will see all of the interviews that I've been able to get access to, whether it's different sporting events, whether it's been Toros, Vipers, Dorados. I'll try to cover as much pro sports down here in the Valley as I can.
Yeah, so be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. Like he said, his YouTube channel is South Texas Border Sports. Be sure to show him love and support in his personal project with that. If you guys are fans of the Dorados, if you guys are fans of the Vipers, be sure to check out his content and give him some love as well. He's done a lot for the Toros, and I think it's only fair for you guys to show him support for all that he's done for us.
I may not be the greatest looking human being, but I do give the greatest looking effort there is out there.
Of course, man. No, honestly, I think out of all of us, in RGV, I think you're the one that's been through it most, carrying the camera, recording. I know sometimes you have to do everything pretty much yourself. So for that, dude, I really commend you, and I'm really I really enjoy having you as part of the Down in the Valley team.
All right. Thanks so much, Ed.
No problem, and have a good night, Ray. Hopefully we'll see you. I'll see you this weekend.
God, Dios primero, God first.
Of course, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye. So thank you all for joining us. Like I said, we'll see each other next Thursday at 7 p.m. And I guess just continue with y'all's support, sharing our stuff, interacting with us on our social media. We really try our best to keep the Toros on the spotlight in the Rio Grande Valley. We try to put in our pretty much our grain of sand in that regard. And I think as more people start being active with talking about the Toros on social media, I think more people will be convinced that the Toros are here to stay and that this is actually the Valley's team. Having said that, really wish you all a happy Valentine's. If you guys have somebody celebrate it, if not, if you're just enjoy your day, enjoy your regular Thursday. We'll see each other next week. Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Tonight.